Hey guys, it is Tuesday, March 4th. I hope your week's going well so far. It's a little rainy today, so I hope your energy levels aren't in the dumps, and I'll be praying for you as you continue to go through your week. Today, we're going to continue to look at Hagar's life, and more specifically, her encounters with God, and how she calls God El Roi, or the God who sees me, the God who understands me. Okay, so today we're going to be in Genesis chapter 21. I'd encourage you, go ahead and start turning there. Okay, but as we're turning there, I want to ask a question. How often do we begin to doubt God and fall into despair? And what I mean by falling into despair is getting in a situation where we're so blinded by the tough situation, the grief or whatever, the pain, the loss that we're in, that we can no longer see clearly a pathway that God has given for us. Because He does. He has plans to prosper us. Okay, so in Genesis chapter 16, what we read yesterday, we see that Hagar has a son, and because of this, she's mistreated and she runs away, and God comforts her in the wilderness by saying, hey, I'm going to make a great nation out of you and your son. And then He sends her back into that tough situation. He doesn't immediately remove her. He sends her back. So you may be in a tough situation where you need to continue moving forward. And that's what we're going to kind of see today. Okay, so let's read Genesis chapter 21, starting in verse 1. The Lord came to Sarah as He had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what He had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the appointed time God had told him. Abraham named his son who was born to him, the one Sarah bore to him, Isaac. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has made me laugh, and everyone who hears will laugh with me. She also said, who would have told Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne a son for him in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham held a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. But Sarah saw the son mocking, the one Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham. So she said to Abraham, drive out this slave with her son, for the son of this slave will not be a co-heir with my son Isaac. This was very distressing to Abraham because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not be distressed about the boy and about your slave. Whatever Sarah says to you, listen to her, because your offspring will be traced through Isaac. And I will also make a nation of the slave's son because he is your offspring. Early in the morning, Abraham got up, took bread and a water skin, put them on Hagar's shoulders, and sent her and the boy away. She left and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she left the boy under one of the bushes and went and sat at a distance, about a bowshot away, for she said, I can't bear to watch the boy die. While she sat at a distance, she wept loudly. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, What's wrong, Hagar? Do not be afraid, for God has heard the boy crying from the place where he is. Get up, help the boy up, and grasp his hand, for I will make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well. So she went and filled the water skin and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, and he grew. He has settled in the wilderness and became an archer. He settled in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother got a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Okay, so again, God didn't immediately remove Hagar from the tough situation she was in life. He sends her back, but He sends her back with hope, saying, hey, I'm going to make a great nation out of you and your son. Okay? But now we see her cast into the desert because of this terrible relationship between her and Sarah. Okay? And she's blinded by grief. She's run out of water, run out of food, and she's basically waiting to die. But she's so blinded that she forgets that God has promised to make a great nation out of her and her son. And so God comes down to her and opens her eyes to the provision that He has for her, which is a well sitting right in front of her. See, in the same way in our lives, God has plans to prosper us. He tells us so. And sometimes we forget that, and we get so blinded by whatever tough situation we may be in. But I want to encourage you that even when we can't see or understand what God is doing, He's there. He sees you. He understands you, and He has plans to prosper you. And so I want to pray for you that your eyes will be opened to the provision that God has for your life. That's my prayer for you today. God sees you. He understands you in all the complexity that is you, in all the complexity that is me. I'm a complex person. He understands you and the situations you're going through. And I hope that that would encourage you today.